Ron? Where are you? Where is Ron right now? You done messed up, Ron!
Ron is right here. Scientology done messed up, though. David Miscavige done messed up. Jonathan Maurer done messed up. Guys, I've got monetization turned off on this video so that we can speak plainly and openly without doing the little dance that we have to do to please the YouTube overlords. This is not the kind of video YouTube wants people making and talking about, but it is the kind of video that needs to get done. Let me introduce you to Scientologist child rapist Jonathan Maurer, everybody. That is Jonathan Maurer. Let me address right up front the comments that I get, and I know, they come from a good place about you cannot call him a child rapist. You have to say alleged, or else they will be able to sue you for slander or libel. Is slander verbal and libel in writing? I grew up in a cult, guys. I don't know these things, but I think that's right. And I want to just explain this real quick. By the way, the reason I'm doing this video is because I did the video yesterday about Scientologist and child rapist John Maurer, and I asked for a bunch of people to come forward with any information, and I did get a bunch of new information, and that is why I'm doing this video. I'm going to share it with you. I'm going to go through my notes. I'm just going to share it with you live because, again, this is part of a continuing effort to get under the radar Scientologists who have more information about the details of the cover-up, more information about additional victims, more information about how the victims were silenced, to come forward and to contact me. So anytime that I get more information, I'm going to share it with you. And that is what this video is about. So, but I want to address this thing about you have to be careful or else they will sue you. Scientology cannot sue me. Neither can any Scientologist. Now, if I was just straight up making up things and just making up stories, maybe they, could or would. But because I'm talking about things that are true, it does not matter if the things that I'm talking about have been proven in a court of law. This whole innocent until proven guilty thing, that is the standard for the state, for the law, for the government. It's but because Scientology knows that what I'm talking about is true, they can't sue me, because it opens them up to discovery. Now, if you go and they can't, you have to understand, I wouldn't be talking about this if I didn't already know it's true. This is not a fishing expedition. I'm not trolling them. Now, if someone goes, well, maybe David Miscavige wouldn't want to sue you, but John Maurer, the child rapist, could, or maybe his father could, or whatever. And that's where I go, no, this is what I want to explain. If they sue me, discovery on their end is wide open. And discovery would include deposing Scientologists and former Scientologists who have personal knowledge of the crimes that have been committed and the cover-up. There are former Scientologists who have information about this. Maybe a Scientologist would lie in a deposition, but a former Scientologist is not going to lie in a deposition about this. And the cover-up includes Scientology management. It includes the Office of Special Affairs. It includes the exec structure of the Scientology organizations where these crimes occurred. Scientology won't let Jonathan Maurer sue me, or his brother David Maurer, or his father Mike Maurer. So I understand that the advice is coming from, a place of, in normal circumstances, it would be good advice. They cannot sue me, guys. And if they would, I would love that. So I can sit here and do videos all day about child rapist John Maurer, and he can't sue me, and that's good for me. If they did sue me, it would be even better for me. Heads I win, tails they lose. And that's one of the advantages of having this platform as a former Scientologist and someone Scientology has already declared as a oppressive person. They're not even allowed to say my name. Grant Cardone, when trying to defend himself against the videos I've done exposing how he has defrauded his investors, isn't even allowed to say my name, much less sue me. Okay, so let me just do a short little recap. By the way, if you guys wanted any evidence whatsoever that Scientology watches every second of every video that I upload, let me show you. So this is, in yesterday's video, I showed the Instagram account of the company that Jonathan Maurer works at in Clearwater that is owned and run by his father, Mike Maurer. They shut down the Instagram account yesterday after my video went up. They also deleted any mentions of John Maurer on their Instagram account. So unless we are to believe that John Maurer and Mike Maurer are watching my videos, this is just evidence that Scientology watches every second of my videos, and then they contact the Scientologists and tell them what to do. So Teamwork Commerce is the company that Jonathan Maurer works for. He is, you can see here, the VP of Operations. His brother David Maurer is the VP of Client Success. His father, Mike Maurer, used to work on the Apollo under L. Ron Hubbard. He was a Class 12 auditor for a short spell. And his mother worked very, very closely with L. Ron Hubbard. And so let me get to the actual new information. Hold on. Let me bring up photo of child rapist John Maurer. There you go. There you are, John. Take your rightful place in this video, front and center. Okay, so on to my notes. This is not going to be a very long-winded video, guys. Immediately after this, I am doing a live interview with Derek over at Myth-Vision on his YouTube channel. I'll put a link on my channel to that. But as soon as this ends, I'm jumping over onto his live stream, just so you guys know if you want to watch that. Okay, on to my notes. I'm not going to screen share the notes. I'm just going to read for them. So I'm just going to look like I'm vaguely staring off into space here. Okay. Yet in yesterday's video, I said that Jonathan Maurer was a public, not a staff member. I was corrected on that yesterday by someone who contacted me. John Maurer, or as they call him, Johnny. They call him Johnny Maurer. Johnny Maurer was an executive, a senior executive at the Church of Scientology of Sacramento. His position was called the HES. That stands for HCO Executive Secretary. That is the Hubbard Communications Office Executive Secretary. It's part of the Executive Council of the organization, or EC. Quick explanation. So Scientology's organizing chart is split up into 7 divisions. Really, it's 9 divisions because there's 3 division 6s, because of course there are. And the HES is over division 1, 2, and 3. Division 1 is HR, division 2 is sales, division 3 is treasury, or you could call it accounting. So, you know, he's over a third of the organization. The HES is a senior executive post in any Scientology org. Johnny was on staff at the Sacramento org for years. And Sacramento was one of the first Scientology orgs to buy and renovate their huge brand new building. They got a lot of money up in Sacramento in Scientology world. And Johnny would be sent around to other orgs in the Western United States to help them in their fundraising events. And I reported yesterday that he was able to make 10 or 15% commission at these fundraisers, and that sometimes, you know, hundreds of thousands of dollars were raised at these events, and that was one of the reasons Johnny was doing it. You could make a lot of money doing this. So the person that I spoke to yesterday, I said, but I don't get it. They weren't letting Johnny take commissions if he was a staff member. And they said the commissions that Johnny earned helping raise funds at these other events went directly into the staff pay sum for the Sacramento staff. That's why the Sacramento org actually wanted to send their executive out to help other orgs raise money, because it helped the Sacramento staff members get lots of money in their weekly staff paycheck. So that was interesting. Okay, so Johnny, God, this stuff is going to get this is so gross. So Johnny and the executive director of the Sacramento org, her name is Mickey Smith. I actually know Mickey. Mickey is a woman. These two were essentially superstar fundraisers. They were great at recruiting. They were great at fundraising. And Johnny was also one of the first people to get trained in Los Angeles under Sea Org supervision on an earlier version of what is now happening in Clearwater, where I live, called the Golden Age of Administration. David Miscavige is currently training new command teams for every Scientology org in the world right here in Clearwater, Florida, on these new administrative courses. It's just the old stuff repackaged. But this training program had been piloted in Los Angeles back between 2010 and 2014. I'm not going to even try to get the exact year right now. And Johnny was one of the first people to be trained under Sea Org supervision on this pilot project. And it's where he was trained by Sea Org members to commit the type of credit card fraud that is now colloquially been called the Chase Wave. So Johnny took his new Scientology tech called the Chase Wave credit card fraud system up to Sacramento. And he and the ED Mickey were very involved in committing this Chasewave credit card fraud to raise money for Scientology. This Chasewave fraud covered all the spectrums of Scientology fundraising, whether it was selling auditing and courses, whether it was raising money for buildings, or whether it was raising money for the IAS, the International Association of Scientologists. While Johnny was visiting all these orgs, helping to raise money, this is when he met and sexually abused at least 6 underage female Scientology staff members. So the way I told this story yesterday, I explained it was 2 different layers of liability, at least in my, I'm not a lawyer. This is not a qualified legal opinion or legal advice, but you have the children that Johnny sexually abused were not only minor children, but they were also staff members of Scientology. Well, now I learned Johnny himself was a staff member of Scientology. So you have one adult staff member. By the way, Johnny would have been in his late 20s back in 2014 when this occurred, late 20s. And the one child I know that he physically fully raped was 15 years old. I haven't confirmed whether the other victims, whether the sexual abuse in those instances went as far as intercourse is what I'm trying to say there. So, in California, there is no statute of limitations on sex crimes if the adult is over 10 years or more older than the victim. And in this case, that is true. There is no statute of limitations on Johnny Maurer's sex abuse of the Scientology staff members that he abused. The Scientology shut down any rumors of Johnny having abused Scientology staff members. They picked a different story. There was a different story circulated about what Johnny was being busted for, guys. The story that they chose to tell was that Johnny, when he wasn't on staff, was coaching a little league baseball team and was caught by some parents of the team molesting some boys on the team. And that's why Johnny got busted. Guys, that's the fucking story Scientology chose to tell people. That Johnny had had some gay stuff in his past. Scientology had fixed him, but he had reverted and done some gay stuff and molested some little boys on a baseball team. That's what Scientology wanted people to think. Because in Scientology's twisted mind, Johnny being busted for molesting some non-Scientologist boys on a non-Scientology little league team, that's better than Johnny having molested some Scientology girls. And it's just icing on the cake that Scientology made it a gay rumor. Because in Scientology land, being gay and being perverted is one and the same. That is what L. Ron Hubbard says in the book Science of Survival, which is the book he wrote right after Dianetics, that being gay is a sexual perversion, and that is the same as being a pedophile. If you guys think I'm exaggerating, I promise you I'm not. Any Scientologist watching this video will go, that is exactly correct. So they're like, oh boy, if we say he molested Scientologists or girls, that's too dangerous. We have to say he molested boys, and they have to be non-Scientologists. Unbelievable. Now that does raise the question, did Johnny do both? Did Scientology have all this information and they only chose to share what they thought would be least damaging? Or did Johnny actually do both? And I cannot stress this enough, guys. This rumor is the rumor Scientology management spread amongst its own members. This isn't me making it up. This isn't some random person on the internet making up crazy stories about Scientology. This is what Scientology management was telling its own members about why Johnny was busted. Okay. Johnny was declared PTS type B instead of being declared a suppressive person, and he was sent off to Clearwater to do his sec checking and his lower conditions and to make his amends. So to the chief of the Clearwater Police, Chief Dan Slaughter, I want you to take note here. This is what Scientology thinks about you and your city and your police force. They're like, hey, we've got a member who raped some children. Where should we send him? Send him to Clearwater. He'll be okay there. Just think about that for a second, Chief Dan Slaughter. And I realized as of right now, I don't have any knowledge of any one of these kids being abused in Clearwater. So yesterday when I said to the Clearwater Police, maybe you'll do your fucking job this time, here's what I mean. Don't you think it's time to remove Scientology from the list of authorized organizations who can pay Clearwater Police to do off-duty work for them. Don't you think it's about time to restore the reputation of the Clearwater Police? You've got an organization here that's covering up child rape, and they send their rapists to your city. Okay? Maybe the least you could do is say, all right, we're taking Scientology off of the list of approved organizations for people who can hire the police for off-duty work. By the way, Scientology pays the police 3 times the normal rate for off-duty work. That is how you corrupt officers. It all comes down to money. I'm not saying the whole force is corrupted, but I'm saying let's do something to restore the reputation of the Clearwater Police, if such a thing is even possible, Chief Slaughter. Okay, back to my notes. So this is where Connor Cruz comes into the play, and this is why I've added Connor Cruz in the thumbnail of this video. I found out yesterday something I should have already known, and I never knew. Connor Cruz was an actual Scientology staff member at the Los Angeles organization from about 2010 to 2014. So Connor Cruz himself would have been trained on this Chase Wave credit card fraud system. And that's probably, remember Johnny was traveling all over the orgs in the West US. Plus he did his training in Los Angeles. So this is where he would have met Connor Cruz, to the best of my knowledge. Maybe I'm wrong about all of this, you guys. I mean, when it comes to Connor Cruz, I will give a little caveat. Not even Connor Cruz and Tom Cruise can sue me, because they know everyone that will get sucked into depositions if they sue me. So not even those guys can sue me. So this is where Connor Cruz would have met Johnny. They would have both been trained in the same credit card fraud. Okay. So at some point, Johnny gets busted. He gets sent to Clearwater. Now, remember, Johnny is already an expert fundraiser. He was one of the top fundraisers in all of Scientology, raising money for these buildings. Connor Cruz, at some point, in 2014, when the Los Angeles org was converted from a regular org to a Sea Org, all the staff members there had the option to terminate their contracts or to join the Sea Org. Connor Cruz, of course, terminated his contract. He moved to Clearwater. So this is where Connor Cruz and Johnny then teamed up to fundraise for the IAS, for Scientology. And this is actually, and this is where it gets crazy. So you have Johnny Maurer, the Scientologist rapist, who then also committed credit card fraud. And what's remarkable here is that raping children isn't what got Johnny declared a suppressive person. Committing credit card fraud isn't what got Johnny declared a suppressive person. Committing credit card fraud with Connor Cruz is what got Johnny declared a suppressive person. Raping kids is okay in Scientology. I mean, it's not literally. I'm joking. Raping kids, we'll keep you. We'll keep you. Hey, we're building a world with broken straws. You know, that's what Scientology would say. Only Scientology can fix the reason why Johnny likes to rape children. So getting rid of him wouldn't make any sense. We're going to keep him. We're going to fix him. We're going to fix Johnny. Johnny commits credit card fraud. Hey, we're building a world with broken straws. Only Scientology can fix the reason why Johnny wants to commit credit card fraud. We're going to keep him. Johnny got Connor Cruz into trouble. Oh, you're out of here. That's how Scientology works, you guys. That is how Scientology works. So, just looking over my notes, see if there's anything else here worth talking about. I mentioned Mickey Smith. There's no reason for me to bring Mickey into this conversation at this point. It's not clear to me what Mickey knew about what Johnny was doing. And to be perfectly, frank and upfront about this, it's not that Scientologists think this kind of behavior is actually okay. I hope I've been being clear about that. Scientologists don't think it's actually okay to do the kind of stuff that Johnny did, but it's not a deal breaker as far as expelling you. Do you see what I mean? And they sure as heck won't report you to the authorities. Oh, that's the last thing I wanted to say on this. The person that I spoke with explained that the operating procedure in Scientology, and particularly in Johnny's case, this was true. As soon as it is discovered that that crimes have been committed against children, the Scientology policy is, okay, that's it. Nothing else gets put into writing. No one is allowed to put into writing that Johnny raped children. And no one is allowed to sec check Johnny other than a Sea Org member. This is how everything gets immediately shut down and compartmentalized. We saw shades of this in the Danny Masterson case, where his victims, one of his victims in particular, was writing a report under the direction about what had occurred to her, under the direction of the ethics officer. And she was told, you cannot say the word rape in your report. You can write your report, you can describe what happened, but you can't write the word rape. And also, there's something in Scientology called a committee of evidence. It's kind of Scientology's version of a court martial. They will not COMEV somebody for child rape if none of the information has already been shared with the authorities. And that is because if they were to COMEV them for the sexual assault on children, that creates a paper trail that leads back to Scientology. So the policy is, if no one's gone to the police yet, don't hold a COMEV, don't publish a COMEV, don't put it in writing. But if someone has already gone to the police, then now we have to do a COMEV because it has to look like we're doing something about it. Isn't that interesting? So that's why there was no committee of evidence on Johnny for having sexually assaulted these 5 children. And he was sent to Clearwater. And by the way, Pam Bowen in the Office of Special Affairs for the West U.S. office was intimately involved in this cover-up. And that's probably all the new details that I need to publish right now. So any of you out there under the radar Scientologists, anyone who thought they heard something about Johnny, but they didn't know what it was about, and they knew some people were involved, but they didn't know the details, now you know. There's at least 5 victims, and there's no way 5 is the only number. I'm inviting you to please come forward and contact me privately. Give me additional information that I can use to put out to encourage other people to come forth with yet more new information. Johnny Maurer almost certainly is going to be sent out of Clearwater, but it doesn't really matter because Clearwater is not where he committed the crimes, to the best of my knowledge so far. So where are they going to send him? They're going to send him out of the country? Good. I hope they do. Because then, you know, they'll be able to, the authorities will be able to connect dots. It's not like Johnny Maurer just spent the last 5 years in Clearwater or however many years, and then I do a video and then 2 days he magically goes to Brazil, and Scientology had nothing to do with that. Anyway, we'll see where all these chips lie. So this is the new info for now, guys. Help me spread this stuff far and wide, because we need to make sure all of Johnny's victims know they are not the only ones. And once they know they're not the only ones, I think they're more likely, additional victims will be more likely to come forward. All right, everybody. That is all I have on this for now. Let me get my little outro ready, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye.
Okay, if you want to see my rock and roll songs, click right on this guitar. And if you want to see a different one of my videos, then you could click right inside here. If you have subscribed or not, subscribe right here. Bye.